The following interview was recorded live during the Technology and Curriculum Conference of Aldine. To find out more, visit their website, tccaconference.com.
So tell us who you are and where you're from and all that kind of good stuff.
My name is Jamie Kendall. I'm from Sterling High School in Houston ISD.
Awesome. So what do you teach?
I teach AP Computer Science Principles, AP Computer Science A, and I'm also teaching financial math this year.
Oh my gosh. Man. Well, you've got your hands full.
Yes, I do, but everything's technology based, all three classes, including the financial, because financial math isn't so much about the math, it's about can you plan for your life and your visions and your...
Sure, yeah.
So
are you guys one-to-one?
Yes, we are one-to-one with laptops.
Cool. Chromebooks, Windows?
No, HP, Windows.
Okay.
But I also have a classroom set I have an iPad cart in my room. Mm-hmm. So I use those as needed, when needed.
Comes in handy.
It does, especially when, kids forget their computers.
Yeah.
Never happens here, right?
Right, no.
Right.
Kids I never forget anything. So
No, I don't.
So we were at the Flipgrid booth, and we ran into you.
Yes.
And we were talking about computer science standards, and computer science. So tell us, how's it going?
It's going well with the number of kids who are interested in computer science that didn't know what computer science was. I think that's the biggest thing right now is they don't know what computer science is. So they get put in it and all of a sudden they're like, oh wow, like this is computer science. That's cool when they realize, especially, the number of jobs out there. And I told my kids, we want to change the face of computer science. The face of computer science right now is the middle-aged white male.
Yep.
Right. You're looking at it.
Right. And we know there's other people that work in computer science, but when you think of Dropbox, Facebook, heck, when we think of Apple, we still think of Steve Jobs, and the man is deceased.
Right.
Bill Gates, all the middle-aged white male, and we need the other voices. So I keep telling my kids that they need to become the next face of computer science. And that's really nice to see. It's just in some aspects, I'm having a hard time getting my kids to connect to things. So I'm always looking for new ways to teach them coding that they feel a connection, that at the end they can write a program for their AP exam, and also just to feel that they accomplished something.
Right. And that's the key. Do you find that what I notice is that kids don't understand the coding aspect of it? I mean, do you see that people say computer science, that actually computer science encompasses a lot, actually.
Oh, it does, especially when we do computer science principles. I'm spending the entire first semester talking about, the internet, routers, DNS, TCP, IP, data security. By the way, the kids don't know a whole lot about data and security and privacy and how safe things are or aren't. And we have very real conversations that even when they think something goes away, those apps that, I'm not going to give the name, but the picture disappears right away. Right. It doesn't. Right. So we spend a lot of time just teaching about that because we call kids the digital natives, right? Because they were born with this technology. But they're not.
Yeah, we hate that term.
Yeah.
That's one of our hated terms.
Yeah, because they know how to operate some apps. I had a student say to me yesterday, how do I send an email? He's a junior in high school.
Right, yeah.
And I was like, we need to get that figured out because that's a life skill.
Yeah, they're actually, they've been born into a real-time environment where it's just a message or a text or a tweet or Instagram or
it's instant gratification.
It's instant gratification. But that's the part about computer science that I don't think they realize is that the bigger market that's always been paying big money are the guys that keep this all running.
Yes.
The people that make sure the ones and zeros flow.
Well, and it was crazy because I was showing them, everyone loves their Snapchat filters, right? And I spent my summer, a week of it, in an AP CSA College Board workshop, and I learned how to apply the embossing filter, the Laplacian filter, all these filters to pictures. They're like, well, we can do that in Snapchat. I'm like, yeah, but I coded this. Like, that's the difference is I didn't need some program to do this for me. Like, I did this myself, and that satisfaction of knowing that, hey, I did this, especially when, I'll be honest, when I started that week, even my poor instructor was worried about how it was going to go. I had just the off day the first day, and then I just hit my groove.
Yeah.
And, I see that happening to kids. I had a kid say to me yesterday, hey, so, I seriously want to go to college now. I'm like, that's awesome. He's like, I was thinking maybe mechanical engineering, but I really like robotics, and I like what we're doing in your class. I'm like, hey, sweetheart, computer science, robotics, they go hand in hand.
Yeah.
And we've only been in school a month.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's already making that impact.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and I think that ties in perfectly with what you were talking about, needing to find or wanting to find how to make some of those connections. And I think that's a key way to do that is it's got to be something that hits them squarely between the eyes, that impacts them. And sometimes it's a student who, all of a sudden, loves robots and then realizes, wait, I can tell the robot what to do, but I'm gonna have to learn how to code in order to then tell the robot what to do, and boom, I'm connected. In other things, it might be finding some connection that a student has. Let's just say that. An example, and I hate that I can never remember this poor girl's name, but she's like 13 years old, and she's invented an app that helps Alzheimer's patients because her grandmother over in Asia is suffering from it, and she and her family were struggling with doing FaceTime and other real-time online communications because she said, we don't get to spend a lot of time in that conversation.
Right.
And they were spending more and more time just trying to get through the semantics and everything else because, her mother's got, Alzheimer's, her grandmother's got Alzheimer's, so they're having to go through all of that before they can finally get to the conversation. And so she's working with several companies, and again, she's 13, working with several companies to figure out, and of course she's doing a lot of the coding herself, to figure out how to put various pieces and parts together in order to solve that problem. How do I make sure that when I'm FaceTiming a relative who's got Alzheimer's, that there are some visual cues that can come in place to help that memory trigger while we're having a conversation so that we're not spending all that time building to the conversation.
Yeah, it's like, hey, remember me? I mean, that's awesome because my father has dementia, so
Yeah.
I completely understand. And so one of the things, and we got late notice, but, HCC does that pitch idea contest.
Oh, yeah.
And hopefully they do it again in the spring. So HCC, if you're listening, sponsor that contest again in the spring.
Yep.
Because I told my kids about it yesterday. Of course, the deadline's next Sunday. But hopefully someone starts to come up with something because there are a lot of problems out there, that they see that they want to fix. And, I'm also the Robotics Club sponsor.
Right.
And I call it the Robotics Club, but we kind of do a little bit of everything. And I'm slowly trying to build, my own little small maker space.
Sure.
Because I just want them to come in the room and be able to work on whatever, just introduce themselves in technology, and then work on whatever's striking their mood
That's
at
awesome.
that point in time.
Sure.
So,
Absolutely.
With what Elon Musk is doing with Hyperloop and everything that's going on there, and just last week he released that he sees in 3 to 4 years he's going to be using reusable rockets to transport people around the world in less than 30 minutes everywhere. And what I try to tell students and teachers when I talk to them is, listen, there's a lot that goes into that. There's the person that's going to be working the door that lets people into that and then seals the door has to be able to do basic coding on the fly in case something goes wrong right there at that console.
Yep.
And we're at that point. You're right about what we've done to the market. Most of the kids that I have, former students, are in their late 30s or early 40s, and that's who's in the market of developing. And that's when I call Boston or I call anywhere, they're working at Grubhub or Flipgrid or wherever. And those are the kind of kids that would always go, well, I needed to do this. Well, let me just code it out. The kids now, we've missed this entire generation where it's just, well, there's got to be an app for that.
right. And instead of thinking of making one,
I just make it.
Right, instead of finding a problem and fixing it, they're just waiting for somebody else to do it.
Right.
One of my former classmates, he was like a year or two behind me. I went to church with him back when I was young. And he made an app that they use at nightclub doors to check IDs.
Yeah.
I mean,
Perfect.
Yeah.
we didn't grow
It's a
up with my first computer was an 8088,
Yeah.
and so we didn't grow up and he came up with this, and I need these kids to start coming up with these things, and there's a problem.
Right.
Let's fix it. I mean, I was looking here, and e-hall pass.
Yeah.
Regretfully, somebody came up with it first because we've all known, if you've been in the classroom, that
we needed it.
we needed some sort of system that would monitor school-wide.
Well, and there's the
Right.
beauty of it. There's one called Tardy Calculator. There's a whole bunch of that same product. there are 400 million people in this country. You can make several different flavors of bread.
Yep.
And we can make a lot more apps. We always talk about the digital frontier. What was it like in that covered wagon to go west? Because when we found our plot of land, we had to build our house and we had to find water. And that's where the great inventive nature of the American people came from. And we're actually right back there. We just can't get them to really grasp it yet. I think, truthfully, I believe space exploration, canning NASA was the worst thing we ever did.
Yes, it was.
And I know it's now everyone has realized that, but it was great when it went into the private market, when Dragon X and Elon Musk and all these people got involved in it. That's going to be the next big thing, because now we need this new technology to go to a different planet.
Well, don't you remember when you were a kid watching? You kind of, every time it launched, every time that first happened, your dreams kind of launched with, and you start dreaming about, hey, I could do that when I grow up.
Mm-hmm.
And we stopped doing that, and therefore kids have stopped dreaming as much.
That's exactly right.
So,
well, if I've talked to one kid, I've talked to 100 that, hey, have you ever been to the Grand Canyon? I don't need to. I can look at it online. That's exactly what we're talking about. I don't have to think about being an astronaut. I can just see what's going to happen. We were playing with plastic Mark 7s and, running around the yard. As I tell my mother a lot of times, she's complaining about her cell phone. Give it a second, it's going to space. So, you're right. We've lost this pioneer aspect.
Yes.
That we have. It's disappeared. And I think that trying to inject it so quickly with computer science, we're pushing too hard, too fast. You're a math teacher. You know the progressions that have to happen to do math.
Yes.
I'm not just going to teach third graders trig.
Nope.
Not going to happen. And we understand that there's other life lessons that go in there. It's not just math.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And so we're suddenly doing the junior, come on into computer science, make this turtle go around the screen, and now we're going to teach you JSON.
Well, I told my kids, and last year I taught one computer science principles and the rest algebra 1. So they still saw me as the math teacher.
Uh-huh.
And when we talk about STAR test, we say pass, 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 first time. And I tell them it's very different in computer science. Computer science is fail, fail,
Yes.
fail, 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 no, fail. Fail, fail, fail. Yay! Fix, 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 fix.
Yes.
And it builds a sort of grit that we have not developed with testing, because with testing we have pushed passing the first time every time. We work with TEALS with my CSA class, and I have 2 volunteers. One's just retired, one still works for indie companies, but he's worked on video game design. So I use him a lot to talk to my kids also. Even if they're not my CSA class, he has been generous enough that he'll talk to my kids. Someone will come up, they'll want to talk to him about video game design, the progression, and so that's awesome. And it's awesome we have those support programs, but we need to start in elementary school teaching these kids about block coding.
Right.
So by the time they get to high school, we shouldn't have to be doing block. We should be able to start doing some basic either Python or Java. So by the time they get to APCSA, they're comfortable typing code.
Right. Yeah.
And that's what we're dealing with now is with CSA. It's just getting them comfortable typing. And I'm going through the pain in the process with them. They know I was not a computer science major.
Yeah.
But, and I said, I'm waiting for the day that you pass me, because you will. And that's the goal.
That's the goal.
I said, by the way, when you become a rich, famous computer scientist,
Remember your teacher.
remember me. Hey. Right. But that's what I want. I want them to be better than me. And it's nice to make that switch from math to this now, just because I get to be a different person. And,
Sure.
it's not, because it's not pass, stress out about scores.
Yeah.
We saw the AP test, but my whole thing is, am I seeing that light bulb come on? Am I seeing you get proud of yourself like I was this summer when I figured out the emboss matrix and wrote the emboss matrix to emboss a photo? And this, my mom's like, what's that picture? I'm like, forget the fact that I embossed my dog, Ma.
Right. Yes.
I did it.
Yeah.
Yes. And not only did I emboss the dog, I wrote the program that caused the program to emboss the dog.
Right. And
that's the key.
And that week, and that was on the last day, I'm telling the instructor at the APCSA workshop, I'm like, no, don't help me. I got this on my own.
Yeah.
But the nice thing about computer science, it is teamwork.
It is.
So we talk about wanting kids to collaborate together in all the classes. That's another reason why computer science is so essential, because it's teaching them to collaborate. Therefore, when they go to another class, they actually know what collaboration looks like.
Yeah.
You remember college? You worked with a group. One person did all the work.
Right,
I mean,
yeah.
they still make comics about it, and
Right.
pictures and
Yes.
so.
Well, and
exactly right.
that's one of the key parts is it's not just the collaboration, it's also the accountability.
Yes.
And, when you're working on a team and you're working on a program in order to run this robot to perform certain tasks or whatever you're coding, whatever the end purpose is, you're working on a team. Everyone on that team is responsible for their pieces and parts, because if you don't do your part, then the rest of us can't do our part, because our parts are not going to talk to each other. They're not going to work together. We have to work together as people in order to get the program pieces and parts to work together to solve that problem. And that is going to carry on no matter what those students do later in life. Collaboration, accountability, teamwork. I don't care what your job is when you leave school.
You have to work with
the
people.
900 careers the kids today are going to end up with in their lifetime. That's all part of that. That's all part of that.
Well, and any successful robotics team that competes, they all have their roles.
Right.
And, before they graduate high school, they're training the next, because we have not gotten a competition robotics team yet, but I went to, I want to say it was East Early College, and met with the robotics coach there. And, before they graduate, they're training their coding replacement. And that's part of their responsibility is training the next generation of each role, finding who suits what best, what role fits you.
Yeah.
So.
That's awesome. Very cool.
Thanks for coming by.
Yeah, sorry for monopolizing so much of your time.
No, you didn't at
I
all.
love talking to you guys. I mean, we just carried on that conversation that we had over in the tent.
And we were like, hey, we need to bring this up.
Yeah, I'm like, hey, I'm not on camera here, so I'm okay with this one.
It was awesome.
Awesome. Thanks for coming by.
Thank you.
And keep up with social media. Are you on Twitter?
I am. I don't use it enough, but I am.
Okay.
You want to
What's your Twitter handle?
share that out? You don't know. Okay,
We
no.
threw,
Hold
a,
on,
we threw a curveball.
I did.
sorry.
Now I got to check my Twitter app to see what
Sorry,
my.
what am I? Who am I?
Yeah, who am I? I see. It's funny because I use my Google site all the time, so I know my web address to
Got to have a picture for the thing.
easily.
Sorry.
Picture for the Twitter.
Oh, who am I? Oh, let's see. I am Miss K Math 75.
Awesome.
We would like to thank our guests for joining us for this interview. If you would like to hear more EduTech Guys, check out our podcast on iTunes.